Hi, I'm Danny Kruge, and this is Seamless Cross-Tenant Azure SQL Migrations with Geo Replication. So who am I? I'm Danny Kruge. I originally from the UK, and I've moved to the Netherlands. I'm a DBA turned mission-critical engineer. I work for a company called Schuberg Phillips, and I'm an Azure Heroes organizer for a meetup group in the Netherlands, and I also organize the Azure user group. And I have 2 kids, live in Leiden, and my LinkedIn's there if you want to reach out. So, what and why am I talking about Geo SQL replication? Well, we used it recently for a customer. It was a SQL Server migration, and we're moving tenant-to-tenant basis. So we wanted to get them to a new tenant in a private network where their old tenant was public. It's an asynchronous replication across, and it's fully private, which I was very surprised at because you have to open it up with your public IP to attach to both SQL servers. But then once you initiate the connection, it actually works, and the network is trafficked over the Microsoft backbone, which I state also on my GitHub, which I have also put the Microsoft Learn URL on the page here. And I want to show you a quick setup of how this works. So you'll see a nice little fancy demo and how to set it up, because it's actually very simple. What you need is 2 SQL servers, one being in your primary tenant and one being in your secondary tenant. On the primary is where the database will exist. You don't need to create the database on the secondary because that will be created for you. It'll be created with the same CPU, same memory, this exact same setup. So the SQL Server name can be completely different. What you need to do is create a login, and it has to be a SQL Server authentication login. The password, you can choose whatever you want. Please don't just do something like I did there. This is for test purposes. It needs to have the DB manager role. So you run this on the primary SQL Server, and then what you need to do is actually grab the SID. So you can grab the SID and you copy that across, and then there on the secondary you need to create the same user in the master database also, and that'll have the same permissions. So it needs to have the same password, same username, etc. You can create that on the secondary, so we'll give that a go. That's now there. So now that user is able to create the database on the secondary. So we also need that on the user database. It also needs to have DB owner. So I'll just switch databases now and make sure this is in place. It might already well be, which it looks like it already exists. We'll double check this one just to make sure. Okay, permissions should be set up. What you then need to do, which I always forget, and I put it in the GitHub, is you need to log in as that new user. Otherwise, it's not going to work because the permission you probably have and the connection isn't on the other side. You need the same SQL user on both sides of the same SID. What you can then do is run alter database, and you choose which database you want to pass over to the secondary. As simple as that. So what you should be able to do is run this. It should run quite fast, but what you have in the background, it will actually be doing the replication. So you've just initiated that. So what we now need to do is there's a few helpful scripts I put in there so you can actually track what's happening. So you'll see a lot of failed attempts. Oh, let me actually go back to the master. You'll see a few failed attempts of where this isn't working. But you should see here, you'll see it's actually in progress. And that's actually creating the database copy and seeding the data across. So if we look here, you can see from there, and you can also check the replication lag, and also on the DB level, the actual status of it. So in about 5 minutes' time, that will be copied all across, and you can actually monitor how far it's going. So if we actually check here is the Geo SQL Kruge, which is the secondary. You see there's no database here currently. If I refresh this, what you should see is Kruge SQL DB is actually being created there. And even for a 200 gig database, this takes about 13 minutes, I saw. So for this one, it should take a matter of 5 minutes. But you see now it's already coming up to show it's seeding across. So what we should see, if I change into the database itself, we should be able to see here. Okay, you can already see it seeding also there. And if we use this one, let's see. What you aim for is to have the LSN exactly the same, so that you know they're in sync. When they are, then you can actually initiate a failover without data loss. I hope you enjoyed this talk. If you have any questions, please reach out. Find me on LinkedIn, and the GitHub is also shown. So if I go back to my slides, you'll see here. on my last slide deck, which shows, woohoo, let's get there. Give me the code, and that's where you'll find the SQL code I used today. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Bye-bye.